Live from America's heartland, this is the Daily Truth Report with your host, Noah Christopher.
All right, welcome back to the Daily Truth Report. And on screen, back with us again, is our good friend, Bo Polny. Bo, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Noah. God bless you and everything that you've been doing. And I appreciate, you as a friend. So thank you.
Yeah, well, same here. And if you're with us here, this is going to be a great one. Bo told me just before we went live that we've been doing shows together for at least 5 years, maybe 6 at this point. And he said of all the shows we've done, he said he thinks this one might end up being the most important. And you're about to find out why in just a minute. So stay with us. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got really big things happening. The day that we've all been waiting for looks like it's right around the corner. We've got gold, silver. We've got Bitcoin XRP. We're going to talk about all of it. But first, I just want to make sure we're connected. We should be pretty much live everywhere. We're live on YouTube, Daily Truth Report. We're live on X, and we should be on Rumble too. So if you see us and hear us, give me a comment. There we go. Nancy's here. So it looks like we're connected on YouTube. Drop a comment. Let me know what state you're listening from. And then as we go, if you have questions for Bo, put them in the chat. I'll do my best to get them up on the screen, and we can ask Bo whatever you want. All right. Well, Bo, let me, without further ado, let's kick it over to you. Where do we start today?
I would say this. Scripturally, we're waiting for Joel 2:31, which is what the great and the terrible day of the Lord. Okay. That is a moment in time where God moves and changes the direction of history, period. Okay. So we're trying to calculate. What I'm trying to do is calculate using the sun, the moon, and the stars and things that Lord reveals to me, and try to put pieces together, listening to some of the prophets and trying to understand what the Lord's about to do. Because who controls the world right now, Noah? Babylon. The financial system is controlled by money created out of thin air. This is the Babylonian enslavement financial system. Have we not talked about that since Noah and I have been doing this for 5 years? That's all we talked about, is how they use money to control humanity. Correct, Noah?
We've been talking about it for 5 years, and it's been going on since 1913.
Exactly. So we're over 100 years into this, and the Federal Reserve System was created. And then the problem with the Federal Reserve System was, it's like everything, Bitcoin's bad, people say. Okay. Well, understand then, if Bitcoin's bad as an example, just use it as an example, okay, then how can the US dollar be good? My point being is that those in the world for 100 years have been using the US dollar as payment, okay? So to say cryptocurrency is bad, it's not true, because it will become bad. Because here's what happens is the devil gets in the middle of everything and corrupts it, okay? So the Federal Reserve System started off as a decent, even though it was created in the darkness, okay, it was a decent system until they took it off the gold standard, okay? So what happens is the devil gets in the middle of everything and corrupts it, period, okay? And so what we've seen in life, religion, the 7 hills, the devil's infiltrated all 7 hills of humanity, from the media, politics, news, schooling system, financial system, everything has been infiltrated. Noah does an incredible job on his site to talk about that. It's all about the infiltration, because when you infiltrate from underneath, you end up controlling everything. And the Babylonian system is a control system to control everything. Okay, so Joel 2:31 tells us that there's a day coming. It's called the great and the terrible day of the Lord. What is that? It's a day where God says enough, and he steps in, changes the course of history. Period.
Yep.
Everything changes. Noah and I have been doing podcasts. Go ahead,
That's
Noah.
right. I was just going to say, you've been telling us about that for years, and every time we're getting closer and closer. And that's why you said this might be our most important one yet, because it looks like we're getting very close.
I think we're beyond very close. I think we're here. Okay. And I'll show why in just a minute. But we're at a very critical time point. And why I'm saying this is because when you study history, we can understand the future. But more importantly, what the Lord does, and I'm going to talk about this, is the prophets, okay? Before God ever moves, what does he do? He sends his prophets. Why? He warns his people to prepare, okay? So have you been listening to us? What if Noah and I've been saying for 4-5 years. Buy what? Silver and buy Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. Have we not, Noah? Have we not been saying that for 5 years?
That's right.
Okay. And so we've been saying that, and those that listened, but we're buying silver at $17, $20, $25. We're buying XRP with, probably a zero in front, a zero in front of it. We're buying Bitcoin in the hundreds or maybe thousands, $1,000 or $2,000. Noah and I started in podcasts when Bitcoin was like $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So understand that. What have we been saying? Prepare, prepare, prepare.
Yeah, and to be clear, Bo, neither one of us can tell any of you listening what to do. Everyone's situation is different. We're not financial advisors. An 80-year-old listening to this might be different than a 20-year-old. But what we've been doing for 5 years is talking about what we both believe in and what we're both doing personally. And you're exactly right. I was buying silver below $20 for many years, as you would come on this show and talk about it, and I was stacking it up. And so many people laughed at me. So many people said I was foolish, but I said, hey, this is what I'm doing. You can figure out what you're going to do. My first for about a year, I was buying XRP. Well, no, several years, 21 cents, 20 cents. So yeah, that's been the history, and it's hopefully exciting times are ahead. I know we're going to talk about that here as we go today. So if you have questions about gold, silver, Bitcoin, XRP, just stick with us because we got a lot of information coming to you.
Absolutely. And so again, what Noah and I have been saying, we personally have been buying precious metals. And so because of that, because what do? We have been warning the people about what's coming. Okay. And so we've seen what we've talked about come through fruition to a degree. Okay. To a degree. We haven't seen the great and terrible day yet. That has been spoken by many prophets, but before the great and terrible day happens, you'll have things happening that work our way up to it. And so as an example, last Christmas, okay, in a matter of 1 month, silver broke through $50 or $60, $70 and skyrocketed $121. Noah and I've been saying it's gonna go 3 digits for 5 years. People thought we were crazy, okay? Mm-hmm. And so why I say that is because everybody's got an opinion in life. And to me, opinions are worthless. I could care less what people think because I know what the Lord has shown me. And I know in my heart that what I've been speaking of is truth. What's the truth? The truth is very simple. It'll set you free. But furthermore, the truth will point you to the right direction because truth, in order for truth to happen, in other words, if you put faith in something, then you wait for the truth to manifest, okay? So what's been the faith? The faith is silver is God's money, okay? Furthermore, it's written in Haggai 2:8, the silver is mine, the gold is mine, saith the Lord, okay? Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is not in there, but for the same reason, you've been using the financial system for 100 years, okay? And so to scoff at cryptocurrency, understand that when this financial event happens, I'm going to get to the time periods here in a second, but I just want to touch on the finance because this is so important. Because when the financial shift happens, okay, if I wanted to buy a subscription or something from Noah, okay, I'm not going to send him a silver coin when I can click on my phone a dollar instrument, a financial instrument, and just boom, have it paid in a fraction of a second. So the Federal Reserve System operates on what's called the SWIFT system. The SWIFT system is going to go down. If the SWIFT system goes down, people, how are you going to send money? When the SWIFT system goes down, it becomes unimportant. My question to everybody is, how are you going to send money? How? Are you going to be mailing coins to everybody? Like seriously? Or is there a system in place right now that can, in a fraction of a second, take over the SWIFT system? What is it? The blockchain. Okay. So the blockchain is going to come to surface to what? To literally take over the SWIFT system. Why is that important? Because the SWIFT system operates on a fraud. It's the bankers out of London created it to control you. You don't believe me? Go to your bank and try to send a wire for silver or particularly for Bitcoin. Most banks are going to try to block you, ask you what it's for, and tell you not to do it or won't even allow you to do it. They don't want you to step into the new financial system, okay? Understand there's a new financial system coming here that's going to blow your mind. We know what the financial system is called? Trump already gave you the name of it. You know what it is? It's the golden age. It's the golden age, okay? Trump called you, he already told you, he called it out as a golden age. You know what the golden age is? Is an age of unlimited unlimited. You'll have unlimited finance. In this age, there's no IRS. There's no bank loans. Okay. There's no student loans. They're all gone, as in gone. In this age, everything is more than enough, because why? This is a godly kingdom. You see, but we've been taught that this age comes in with aliens. Understand, aliens, just very, very simple here. The tree of knowledge, the tree of good and evil, is the tree of knowledge that had all the information. We were supposed to get it in the future, in the golden age. Okay, we're stepping into this year, the golden age, and we're going to start seeing this technology. And it's not alien technology, that's God's technology. We're about to start getting God's technology, God's finance, God's everything that's going to absolutely free you to the levels you can't even imagine. But this age that you're looking at here will never happen without Joel 2:31. Are you with me, Noah? So look, we're never going to see this, okay, without an act of God. We're not going to see unlimited blessings, finance, health, like cures to everything that you've been lied to, that you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for the medical profession loves, the pharmaceutical companies love cancer. They love it. It's $100,000 plus for them on each person. Okay. In a kingdom economy, there's cures for health that you can't even imagine. This is the golden age. It's not alien age or alien technology. It's technology that's hidden and been forever hidden in the tree of life, the tree of knowledge, forever. Okay. And we're never going to see this until Joel 2:31 happens. Okay. So that's kind of an introduction to all of this, but they've used money, and you notice a snake around there, the snake around the tree. Remember when you go back and study what happened in the garden, right? The snake, understand that snake ties in directly with China. Remember when they celebrate New Year's, what do they celebrate with? Right? Okay. They pull out the snake, right? And so the snake is the Hydra, and this ties in with the movies we've watched over the years. And so a Hydra is an evil creature that specifically has numerous heads. So what's Trump doing right now? Oh boy, baby, he's cutting them off. Trump is David. He's cutting off the heads of the Hydra, and they are freaking out right now. That's what's happening. Okay. He's stopping them in their tracks. He's not bringing on war that lasts. How long is the war that we've seen with Russia, Ukraine? How long is the war that we've seen with Israel and Hamas? No, how long has it been? Has it been like, everyone's freaking out, Trump's in war. Yeah, he's got to cut heads off, okay? But when he went into Venezuela, how many hours was that, Noah? You get what I'm saying? All of this is all short-lived, because this is all about to come to an end. All the wars in a golden age, there's no war. Let that sink in. In a golden age, there's no war. The bankers use war to perpetuate finance. Okay. So why I'm saying all this is understanding time. Okay. I said before on our podcast, I'll say it again. A very important time point was March 19th. Why is March 19th important? Very simple, because it was New Year's Day on God's clock. Okay. So those that love to say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, or you got it wrong. People, do your homework. Understand that these dates are fixed in stone. March 19th was New Year's Day, period. No matter what you think, it was New Year's Day. And so from that day, you start counting either forwards or backwards. Well, if you count backwards 333 days, Noah, what happened?
Yep, the Pope.
That's right.
Old Francis.
That's right. Pope dies. Klaus Schwab resigns. On what day? April 21, 421. Okay. So none of the time windows that we've talked about, that I've been saying, that God has been showing me, are wrong. I just am trying to figure out what exact day God's going to strike. Why? Noah, this is the greatest mystery in human history. Joel 2:31 has been hidden in the Bible for 2,000 years. Let that sink in, everybody. And I'm trying to calculate the greatest move of God's Spirit ever in the history of the world. That's what I'm trying to calculate. And I'm going to go through some dates here because all of this, what I'm saying, the greatest move of God's Spirit ever in the history of the world is going to go down between March 19th, New Year's Day, on New Year's Day on the Hebrew calendar. That's called Nisan 1. Nisan, Nisan 1, March 19th, Hebrew calendar, God's clock. Not the Hebrew, not the Jewish people's clock, God's clock, okay? And between that date, March 19th, and May 24th, we are going to see the greatest move of God's Spirit ever in the history of the world. Ever. And I'm trying to calculate it, and it can't, and if it's of God, it's got to be, you should be able to calculate it. But let me tell you, okay, it's been hidden in a mystery that nobody has ever been able to solve. Let me say that again, okay? The mystery of Joel 2:31 was a mystery that's been in the Bible for over 2,000 years, that's been hidden because everyone actually thinks it's going to happen in the future, but no, it's going to happen now because it's not going to be the rapture, be the reverse rapture. And furthermore, the calculation is probably the most difficult calculation in human history to calculate when God's going to move. Like, let that sink in. Like the day God's going to move, let's calculate that, right? And furthermore, he's going to hide it in the mystery until the very last moment. Okay. It would only make sense that he would hide the calculation to the very last moment. Okay. So let's get into some of the calculations. First off.
Hey, and Bo, before you do the calculations, I just wanted to say back on your screen with the heads of the Hydra, and you're talking about all these wars. One thing that I hear all the time, and it just drives me crazy from people who are just ill-informed, they say, oh, Trump's getting us into all these wars with Venezuela and Iran and everybody else. What people don't understand, he's ending these wars.
Yes.
We've been at war with Iran for 48 years. Yes. We have been at war with the drug cartels in the Southern Hemisphere for decades. And so he is going around and cleaning these things up. And that's a very important distinction. And that's going to lead into the golden age that he's been talking about for so long. But I just wanted to say that on record because so many people get that wrong. And, you know, you talk to your friends and family and they say, oh, he's going against his word. He said no new wars. Well, he did say no new wars, and he hasn't started a single new one. He's ended a bunch of them. Anyway, go ahead, Bo.
Well, back to your point. You did all the homework, Noah. Incredible amount of homework. Who funded COVID?
Well, yeah, right.
Okay. Who funded it? Look right here. You know, look at it. Who funded it? Yep. Okay. All the truths come out now. But no, let me ask you a question. Is anybody in jail?
No.
That's my point. Okay.
Yep.
So why? Because you understand this is a worldwide syndicate. They all work together. They all have secret handshakes. You go to college. You want an example of you got sororities, fraternities. Okay. Secret handshakes. That's where it all starts. Where do you think sororities, fraternities all came from? From a secret society. Okay. These people are all intermeshed and it continues out of college and it goes on and on and on. And so what we've got is a global syndicate of secret handshakes and in secret little signs and everybody's connected financially. And that's why politicians and all these, you know, all the movie stars, the Hollywood loaded, politicians loaded. Okay. Ask yourself, okay, how are they all loaded? Because they all work together and they all pay each other off and no one ever goes to jail. Since I really started studying this stuff in 2008 after the stock market crash. And guess what? There's still nobody in jail from the 2008 stock market crash.
No. Nope. No, they got bailouts. The ones who caused the whole thing got bailouts.
That's right.
Here you go. Here's a pile of cash for you for crashing the financial system.
Yep.
Terrible.
So the system is a fraud. The system is made to control you And so all the worlds that were all the governments, agencies that work together, our good friend, that out of Canada, they'll arrest you if you talk about Jesus, and look at what was happening. But you can buy all the alcohol you want. So the point is the whole system is corrupt, period. And so I am personally waiting to step into the golden age. Why? Because God said he's going to bring it forth. Okay. We are going to have a golden age, but we're not going to have a golden age until Joel 2:31 manifests, period. Okay. So Joel 2:31, the Lord revealed to me that it's going to go down between those two time points, March 19th and May 24th. Okay. So let's get into the really good stuff here in regard to understanding how this is playing out. Now, will it play out this way? Again, this is God's plan, not my plan. But I do believe the calculations that he's revealed to me and I've been able to condense and put together are at a point right now which are mathematically impossible. But we're about to see something that I think is about to happen here in the month of April. I do not believe, Noah. I'll just I'll say this. There's just, I would say, a zero likelihood we're going to leave April without an act of God. Okay, so April brings Joel 2:31. We're going to see it. Now, when could we see it? So let's look at this. Now, Noah, did we not talk about the 4th of July last year?
Oh, yeah.
And we said that was a very critical time point based on those that's in my book, but the 248-year calculation. Okay, so the 248-year calculation, I'm not going to get into all of it, but it's in my book. It's mathematically came into precisely the 3rd of July, 2026. I'm sorry, the 3rd of July, 2025. Okay, so the 248-year calculation ended on the 3rd of July, 2025 last year. Why is that important? Well, because that, from a standpoint of America, would mark a very critical time point, because 1 year later is the 4th of July, 2026, this 4th. But interestingly, it's the 250th birthday, and Trump has called this 4th of July the greatest celebration in human history. Okay. And it's going to be, but you're not going to have the greatest celebration in human history without an act of God.
Yep.
Okay. You're not going to get it. There's no way, because the moment they try to do something, they're going to come in and they're going to cause military strikes or chaos or panic. Like, the devil's going to just cause, because he kills, steals, and destroys. So it'll be one or all three of those things on the 4th of July if God doesn't intervene. Are you with me? So we unless evil is removed, what's going to happen is the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. But Christ comes to give us life more abundantly. That's John 10:10. So in other words, to have the 4th of July onwards, life more abundantly, you need an act of God to remove, kill, steal, destroy. It's that simple. It's that simple. Okay. So let's look at this. Now, Noah, let me ask you a question. When a woman gives birth, how long is it? It's 40 weeks, right?
Okay. Yep. That's right.
Okay. So there's a calculation, and this is not my calculation. It's called Naegele's, Naegels, Naegele's rule, to estimate the due date, the delivery date. Okay. So if you take the 3rd, 4th of July of last year and you add Naegele's rule, you do the calculation, guess what you get? April 11th into the 12th. In other words, April 12th, this coming Sunday. Okay, so this Sunday is April 12th. Why is this Sunday so important to everybody? Because it's Resurrection Sunday on the Julian calendar. Why is that important? How many times did Noah and I talk about this? Pope Gregory in the year 1582 literally removed days out of the calendar. It's right here. You can scan the QR code, verify for yourself. Okay. So we're on a fake calendar right now. The calendar is fake. Okay. It's called the Gregorian calendar, the Roman calendar. Rome. Okay. It's a control system. Rome was a control system. So what I'm saying, so you understand here really clearly, is The calendar that we're using is a fraud. It's a fake to deceive you. This past weekend was not resurrection. It was Palm Sunday. This Sunday is Resurrection Sunday on the true calendar, the Julian calendar. Understand that the Julian calendar is 2,071 years old. The Roman calendar, the Gregorian, is 440 years old. It's only 400 years old. When Jesus walked on the earth, it was a Julian calendar. This coming weekend is Resurrection Sunday. Why is that important? Well, let's look. If we're looking for, what are we looking for, Noah? We're looking for the greatest move of God's Spirit ever in the history of the world, right? Okay, Joel 2:31. That's what we're looking for. We're waiting for the greatest move. He's not going to do it just on any day, because history of the Bible tells us God does things on his feasts, and on specific dates, specific time points. He just doesn't pick random dates to do things. What's the most important date with regard to God moving upon humanity, Noah? You know what it is? It's Passover. Want some examples?
Sure.
The first Passover, the angel of death, the destroyer. Next, Jesus was the blood sacrifice, and he was crucified at Passover, number 2. Number 3, Isaac was tricked to bless Jacob. This is very important because how that led into future events. Number 4, Gideon's 300 were assembled on that day. And they've got some really good ones here. Number 5, 185,000 Assyrian soldiers were killed in a single night on Passover. On the 15th, okay, so what happened was Daniel was thrown in the lion's den at Passover. And this one is critical. The writing on the wall. Mene, mene, tekel, upharsin. You, Belshazzar, have been weighed in the balances, found wanting. And here's the line. Your kingdom has come to an end.
Remember that
Okay?
one.
Remember, your kingdom has come to an end. So we're looking for Haggai 2:9, the birth of the latter temple. The latter house will be greater than the former. What's the scripture before that? Haggai 2:8. The silver is mine, the gold is mine, saith the Lord. Okay, so Haggai is giving us the time point of when and what's coming. Okay, so Haggai is giving us what's about to happen, the birth. So now, can we verify the 12th of April as this year, the 12th? Can we verify the 12th of April this year as being an important date? Well, let's do some math. Okay, so what we want to look at is other possibilities. Now, this 12th of April, remember I said Nisan 1? Nisan 1 was the 19th of March.
March 19th.
If you take March 19th. So if you count 24 days forward, 24 days forward is the 24th of Nisan, Sunday, the 12th. 1, 2, 4. You can't make this up, okay? And on that day, this coming Sunday is the 12th day of the 4th month. 1, 2, 4. What did we say earlier? When did the Pope die? On 4/2/1. So what have we said forever? This is the death cycle of who? Babylon. It started with the death of the Pope and the financial system marked by Klaus Schwab. So this date marked the starting point of death. So you have 7 years ending on this date. Then you got to count 1 year forward. 1 year forward takes us to this weekend, 1, 2, 4. And there you go. Now you reverse month for day, and you got the 12th day of the 4th month. 1, 2, 4. And that day is called what? First fruits, a new beginning, the greatest victory in human history. So this weekend should be an incredible celebration across the globe. But before you can get to the greatest celebration across the globe, you've got to have something else happen. And that specifically ties into crucifixion. Okay. So why I'm saying this is because when we look at crucifixion, it's a scariest time point. Because what did all the apostles do, Noah, when Jesus was on the cross? Were they hanging out with them, or did they all take off?
Yep, all gone.
All gone. They all fled. Okay. So understand, 3 days before before the greatest victory. Okay. So 3 days before the greatest victory, which would be potentially marked by this 12th, this Resurrection Sunday on the Julian calendar. If you count backwards 3 days, it's this Friday. This Friday is April 10th. We could see what we have been waiting for forever. Go ahead, Noah.
Well, I was just going to say, you look at this stuff, Bo, with your time cycles, and that's what you have on the screen there, analyst of time. You look at how time plays out and replays and repeats and goes in cycles. And, I look at things based on the world stage and news and what's happening, and the convergence of both of those things right now. I mean, if there was ever a time that something's going to happen, it's, we got this 8 p.m. deadline Eastern time tonight with Iran. We've got escalations like we've never even seen before. And it just, the pressure cooker on the world stage is just perfectly set for this to happen, if it's ever going to.
My point, right? And everybody's screaming right now. What's the most common thing you're going to hear right now? They're calling Trump is going to war. No, he's not war. He's not warring president. He's trying to bring wars to an end. Okay. Mm-hmm. And furthermore, when you look at this and you look at the microscopic of this versus the big picture, many people and majority of people on the internet are still convinced we're heading into World War III. Am I wrong, Noah? Or tell me, because when you read scripture, everybody literally thinks we're stepping into World War III now because Iran is in the middle of all this. And when you read scripture, and the end of days, they're a part of all this. So everyone literally is thinking right now, we're about to get into World War III, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you understand that, in other words, to prevent World War III, we need an act of God. Period. Okay. Because without an act of God, these people are a global syndicate, like I showed you earlier, and they won't stop because the devil only knows kill, steal, and destroy. So let me show something here rather interesting, which I've been working on the past few days, actually since last night. If you look at the crucifixion of Christ, top left here, if you go backwards 44 months and 4 days, that would take you to the start of his ministry after he got out of the wilderness. If you go back to the time he got baptized, it literally is 44 months and 44 days. Okay. So this is the best calculations you can use out of the Bible. Now, why I'm saying that? Because this is beyond crazy. What do we have? Specifically, this is so incredible. Noah, you and I talked about this how many times? Remember Roe v. Wade being overturned? Okay, Roe v. Wade was overturned, and that was written in Haggai 1. It said on the 24th day of the 6th month of the 2nd year of Darius. It's June 24th of the 2nd year. It's unbelievable. So this was written, and I didn't realize this, Noah, but on that date, there was a planetary parade of 7 planets. Did you know that?
No.
7 planets lined up. This hasn't happened ever where 7 planets have lined up like that for hundreds of years. They lined up on the day Roe v. Wade's overturned.
I did not know that.
If you go forwards 44 months and 4 days, there's another planetary alignment, Noah.
I remember that one.
Okay. So there's another planetary alignment on February 28th, 2026, 2 months ago.
Yep. I remember it.
If you add 40 days, it's this Thursday night into Friday.
Okay.
So there you go. Crucifixion of Christ to baptism, same exact time pattern. From this Friday, you go backwards 40 days, you get to the planetary parade on February 28th. You go backwards 44 months and 4 days, and you get to Roe v. Wade being overturned and a planetary alignment. Noah, you can't make this up. This is absolutely impossible. And it's happening right in front of us. And all that the end result here is 3 days later, after the blood sacrifice, is what? Resurrection. So, and then also, if you go from the blood moon, 40 days, you get to resurrection. You have to ask, like, how are these things happening? And so, what is the angel of death moment? Okay. Well, first off, those instructions are stay put for 24 hours. Okay. So, it's supposed to go down. God has spoken through his prophets, so it's going down. No one knows for sure the day or the hour. The calculations are screaming that it's supposed to happen in April. Likelihood, based on what I said with regard to Passover into 3 days later resurrection, there's an extreme probability that this date is this Friday. So the angel of death, likelihood, I know this is like, I don't know what to tell you, but all I know is that the calculations, in order for there to be the greatest victory in human history, you have to, it's going to be type and shadow of Exodus. It's going to be type and shadow of what happened with Jesus on the cross. Okay. So 3 days before that is the death cycle. So this Friday, and remember when Jesus was crucified, everybody fled. They fled, except the women, but all the men. And the point is, this was a scary, scary time point. So expect this Friday, I'm telling you, expect this Friday, which would be the 10th, could highly, highly be one of the scariest or the scariest time point across the globe. And I don't know what to tell you, but we're seeing right now what Trump is saying to Iran, and I know all the texts that are going, and he dropped the F-bomb, so there's a lot at stake here on how this plays out. And remember, why I'm saying this is because when you look at this image, right, on Friday, when he's on the cross, everybody listen close, it looked like the devil won. On Friday, Jesus dead on the cross, it looked like the devil won. But this was the greatest setup in human history to that time point, because 3 days later was the greatest victory in human history. First fruits. Okay. So why I say that is because I truly believe this is likely going to play out this way. So if this Friday we end up having the 4 M's, and what are the 4 M's, Noah? So credit to Carolyn Dennis on this, and Kent Christmas. I'll give you why, because the prophecy was millions gone. In other words, they just disappear. Literally disappear. Poof, gone. Okay. And we've talked about before, but this is basically God intervening and removing evil Nephilim possessed people, literally demonic people around the globe, removing them off the face of the earth. And it's millions with an S. Okay. Millions gone. The next one is because of that. Some are flying planes, some are driving cars, some are operating things. And because of that, suddenly you're going to have all kinds of chaos and pandemonium. So you're going to have people dying because of things falling or things getting smashed or broken. And so there's going to be millions with an S dead around the globe. Kent Christmas then said that the morgues will be filled. That's a third M. And then Carolyn further said that because of the amount of deaths, it'll take months to bury all the dead. Will it happen this Friday? I don't know. The likelihood, very high based on the math. All I know is that we need a move of God, because before we step into the 4th of July, as I said earlier, the 4th of July marks the greatest celebration in human history. But in order for that to happen, we need the day of vengeance. And this is Isaiah 61, the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God. So all of that said, the greatest time point in history is upon us. History tells us when God moves, it was in the time of Passover. When you look at the mathematics behind this, how is it happening that the Hebrew calendar, the first month, the 24th day, is this Passover to the exact day, but it is. So this coming weekend is the 24th day of the first month. There's your 1, 2, 4. And it also, on the Julian calendar, actually on the Gregorian calendar, is 12, 4. 1, 2, 4. So this weekend, this coming Sunday, is incredibly epic. And then this ties in with this is the part that just is crazy, because how is it possible that you run the crucifixion cycle, the ministry of Jesus, 44 months and 4 days, and then you add another 40? Like, how is it possible that you've got planetary alignment from Roe v. Wade, 44 months and 4 days, to another planetary alignment on the February 28th, and you add 40 days, and you specifically land on April 9th. It's just mind-blowing how that happens. And then if you do recall, remember Trump, he posted Kim Clement's prophecy.
Yeah, he did.
You know what day it was? March 9th.
Hmm.
Add 30 days. It's 2 days from now.
Mm-hmm.
Into the evening. Okay. So I'm just saying all the math, the 1, 2, 4 cycle that you and I have been talking about forever, the Lord revealed. It's not my cycle, it's God's cycle that he's been revealing through his prophets. He's just given me the ability and the understanding of what the 1, 2, 4 represents. But in a nutshell, the 1, 2, 4, like we've known for a long time through several prophets, it's called the death to life cycle, but no one ever knew what it meant. Like, what does it mean, death to life, right? Like, what does it really mean? But then when you understand the cycle pattern, it's 7 years to the Jubilee, a 1-year window of time that then takes you into the next 7 years forward. So it's a 7, 1, 7 pattern. So the 1 year ends from the death of the Pope. We're in April. So, and then remember, the Pope died on what? He died on the old calendar of Passover, a resurrection. So wait, the Pope died at resurrection. But remember, we're moving away from the old calendar into the new Julian calendar. So the Julian calendar is telling us specifically to look to what? Look to the months onto the new calendar of 1, 2, 4, which should be the Resurrection Sunday this coming weekend. Noah, I don't know what to tell you except wow.
Well, yeah, and Bo, I don't know if you've heard this story or not, but you're focusing on this new calendar, or the Julian calendar being Good Friday and Resurrection Sunday coming up this weekend. And there's been so much focus on I don't know if you heard this story, or I'm sure some people listening haven't heard it yet, but I think we've all heard about how we had to go in and rescue those 2 fighter pilots who had to escape from their jet before it got hit in Iran. And they got the first guy pretty quickly, but the second guy, get this, and it just feels like there's a giant spotlight being put on this to get everybody's attention. He went down on Friday, on the actual Good Friday of last week on all of our calendars. He went down on Good Friday. All of Saturday, he was hiding in caves in the hillside country. And then he was rescued and brought back safely on Easter Sunday. So, I mean, that story has been in the news all week, and they just talked about it again yesterday. Hegseth told the story about it, but what a spotlight to put on that at this very time.
Yeah, and again, what I'm describing here is, and everything, like you're saying, Noah, these are all types and shadows, okay? But the essence of everything here is the collapse of Babylon. Okay. Babylon getting a mortal wound. That's the critical part here. Babylon the Great must fall. Period. Okay. Because if Babylon continue to stand, Noah, everybody listening, you're going to stay in bondage. You're going to keep having student loans of money created out of thin air. You're going to keep having car payments, mortgages of money that you need to pay back from money that was created out of thin air. The whole system is a total and utter fraud, complete fraud.
Mhm. Yep.
Babylon must fall. But here's the thing, okay? Trump is not God. He can't take Babylon down. He's there as an instrument of God after God moves. God moves. It wasn't Moses that sent the angel of death. It was God. And once the angel of death moved, Moses moved everybody and he took them out of bondage and he took them to the Red Sea. Okay. So understand, this is all about a move of God. But then when we got to the Red Sea, there's another problem. The sea. Like you get to the Red Sea, there's a problem. There's a sea in your way. Okay. A Red Sea is in your way. And that sea needs to be parted. Okay. Without a parting of the Red Sea, there would be no Israel today because Pharaoh would have killed them all. Right. But then 10 days later, God showed up again and then he parted the sea and he destroyed Pharaoh. And that control system collapsed. Okay. So Pharaoh is a representation, Babylon, but specifically Pharaoh is a representation of China. China is about to collapse. This is going to specifically because this is like, the head, the main entity controlling right now is a dragon. The dragon's got to be stopped. Babylon's about to fall. And it's all comes down to a literal 24-hour window of time where God intervenes. He intervenes. And what does he do? He gives Babylon what is called a mortal wound. So it's a death blow. So Babylon gets a death blow. Now, the death blow would tie in with an angel of death moment because it was at the angel of death moment where it was join the morning. What happened in the morning? Israel departed Egypt with what? The gold and silver. Okay. So last podcast that Noah and I did, I illustrated this chart about a 10-year winter. Okay. We've been in a 10-year winter since Trump won the election and Kim Clement's death. 10-year winter. That explosion that we're waiting for is after the act of God. Period. Without an act of God, that's never going to happen. But here's the thing. God wrote the end from the beginning. So there's 1,000% likelihood that it's going to happen. Because it's not even a likelihood. It's going to happen because God doesn't lie. He can't lie. So when that happens, here's what happens to silver. Blows through $121. What's going to happen to XRP? Explodes vertical. Okay. So all of these things are about to happen because of this. Babylon gets a mortal wound. Babylon's been standing. This is the prophecy of Nebuchadnezzar. Goes back to Daniel, 2,500 years. We are about to witness the fall of Babylon. If my calculations are correct, it starts this Friday, April 10th. It's going to be probably this, and most likely, not even probably, it will be the scariest time point in human history. Why? Because it'll tie in and correlate with what happened with Jesus dead on the cross. Because when he was dead on the cross, everybody was in panic mode and hiding. They're all scared because they thought they were next. Okay. So this is indicating a massive scare moment this week into Friday. And then joy in the morning would be Saturday into, say, Sunday. But specifically, celebration, joy in the morning on when? Sunday. Resurrection Sunday. The greatest victory in human history. This is the setup that we are in right now, if it plays out per the calculations. And I don't know how to tell you better, but the calculations, the Lord is very, clear about the death to life cycle that you and I have been speaking about for a long time, about the 1, 2, 4. Because this is the ultimate pattern of time. It's a death cycle. So the death is on the left, the 4, 2, 1. There's a year of Jubilee. And this is for the birth specifically, which is Revelation, which is Haggai 2:9, the latter house. 1 year goes by, and then you land on the 12th day of the 4th month, which is on the Julian calendar, Resurrection Sunday, which is on the Hebrew calendar, the first month, 24th day, 1, 2, 4, which on the Roman calendar is the 12th day of the 4th month. Noah, you can't make this up. And then if you count backwards, what I showed you on the celestial alignments, it's crazy that you have the pattern of right here. The planetary pattern is telling us that because this would be the scripture that would be for this slide. If my children who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face, 2 Chronicles, and turn from their wicked ways, then we will hear from heaven, day of vengeance. God will forgive our sins and heal our land. We overturned Roe v. Wade on June 24th, the year 2022. There was a perfect 7-planet alignment. 4 months, 44 months, 4 days later, and we've got perfectly another 6 planetary alignment. And then 40 days later is sunset Thursday night, April 9th, which means that watch out Friday. That's all I know.
Our guest today is Bo Polny, the analyst of time. And I think maybe now you can see why he said that this might be the most important show that we've ever done in 5+ years of doing shows. Bo, we already talked a little bit about silver exploding at this time. But maybe if you have a slide on crypto, I know you got silver there. And for people who, that's always the biggest question I get is what about crypto? What about Bitcoin? What about XRP? If you have a slide on that, I've got it at the top of the screen too, your private newsletter, but you can just take all this stuff for free, enjoy this show. And that's great. Bo always gives a ton of value here in these slides, but if you want to get his newsletter, it goes into great detail. You get updates, usually a couple every week. That's at gold2020forecast.com, but looks like you got a freebie on the screen here, Bo. What are we looking at?
Right. So this goes back to March and nothing's changed. Okay. So what we talked about back in our past interviews, okay, this was a pattern that goes all the way back to March when Bitcoin and XRP broke out of what's called a descending triangle. Okay. Since then, this pattern has been 1000% perfect, and it's going sideways, but it's broken out of the channel. Okay. So it's broken out of this triangle, and all that we're waiting for now is Joel 2:31, the great and terrible day. And when that day happens, what we will end up seeing is that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then there's going to be some very specific time patterns on this, because when XRP explodes, okay, it's going to expose the truth and the corruption behind XRP and the blockchain. Okay. Understand there's extreme corruption, people with very deep pockets controlling XRP and Bitcoin. very deep pockets. Okay.
And by controlling, you mean kind of the way they controlled and suppressed the price of silver and gold for all these years, right? Is that what you mean?
That's right. Yeah. So, and remember, since we did our podcast specifically in the year 2022 November, right? We said Bitcoin's got an upcycle into September, October of 2026. No, we knew that 3-4 years earlier. And so that's why Bitcoin's been suppressed ever since October of last year. But now it's at a low point with all the cryptocurrencies. And here's the thing, the globalists with very deep pockets will never allow XRP to explode to $3, $5, $12, $20, and these big, awesome numbers that people are expecting, because they know that the general public, much of them hold XRP. And the last thing they want in the world is people to be wealthy.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And just like those that believe in God have been buying and believe in prophecy have been buying silver and listening to what you and I've been doing. So they've been loading up on silver. So those that listen now are at least 3 times in the money, because it's at 70, you probably bought it at 20. Okay. So they're all in a great position still. But again, the globalists will not let silver come up to 350. Like they won't never allow silver to go up to 100, 120 again, like for years and years. Why? Because if silver were $1,000 an ounce, Noah, then the people that hold silver would be incredibly wealthy. And the globalists, it's all about them being the upper class, the only class, and everybody being serps, everybody else being minions. Okay. So they are all about having all the money. That's why the globalists, they don't have, in the 70s, they were millionaires. They went to billionaires. Now they're trillionaires. Okay. So the globalists have all the money, and they will never, and there's very deep pockets who've been manipulating the heck out of XRP, silver, and now even Bitcoin to prevent its further acceleration vertically. And they will never let it happen. But after the act of God, it's going to expose the massive corruption in blockchain, that what they've been using it for. Okay. And so when the corruption gets exposed, you're going to see a massive explosion vertically. And then what's going to happen is there's going to be one more attempt to try to slam it back down. And these are cycle points. So we've got the points here, but there's going to be several very big moves coming up to the upside, downside. There's going to be a lot of volatilities coming up specifically in cryptocurrencies, not so much silver and gold, because they're going to have a lot of difficulties controlling that. But cryptocurrencies are going to be, there's going to be a very big battle coming up here. So again, it's just, if people want the patterns, they can have it. But what I'm saying is this historic move is about to happen. It's going to expose massive greed, massive corruption in the financial world.
Yeah. And let me just ask you about if I'm following correctly. You can tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm not getting what you're saying. But if we do have this massive event on Friday, things could look very scary. We could get a very sharp move down in crypto, and then maybe Sunday or Monday get a very sharp move up. So is that, if people see a sudden huge drop down, it might be followed by a big move up. Is that, am I connecting those dots correctly?
Sure, absolutely. What happens on charts, you can have a massive move to the downside, and in the same day, it can literally just come all the way right back up. And all you get is a wick. It's called a wick formation, which the wicks don't even count. But yeah, you can see like it's, and again, because this Joel 231 is the great and the terrible day. Okay. So any market event that happens on the great and terrible day, whether it's Friday or whether it's Monday in reaction to it, okay, understand it's irrelevant, because after the 24 hours is up, and within a 24 to say Monday, say by Tuesday, let's say the event's Friday, we have a massive financial plunge. On Monday, it'll come right back up, and by Tuesday, it's exploding and it takes off. Okay. Yeah, so what I'm saying is, do not be alarmed at all financially with any massive volatile movements up or down, because we could see a massive plunge on the stock market. Like, there's prophecies. Kim Clement had a prophecy about, financial events going off. And all I know is that everything is set for a massive explosion aside from what happens specifically on that one day. Does that make sense? So that's a good question you asked, because we really could see, if we have an angel of death moment, say Friday, we could see an incredible cavitation, complete plunge on Monday. So Monday, we could see a historic financial plunge on the 13th, followed by a reversal, and then a massive move to the upside into month end, starting on Tuesday, the 14th onwards. Okay. So in other words, April is going to be like a day for the, it'll be a month for the record books. It's going to go down. It'll be, because when the great and terrible day happens, it'll be a day like never was and will never be again. So the events that follow, because it'd be 9/11 on steroids, understand that markets plunged on 9/11, but then they reverse back up, right? So this will be even faster, more dramatic, because it's worldwide. So again, everything we've waited for, Noah, the planets are telling us, God's, and why is it, why the planets a part of this? Because it's in scripture. This is not astrology. This is astronomy. And what does scripture tell us? Luke tells us there will be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars. This is all happening. I'm going to tell you why the stars, but specifically the planets, are telling you, from what I showed you, the 44-month, 44-day cycle, the 444, which happens if you do 4 and a 4 is 8 and an 8, death of the Pope, 88, is telling us there will be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity. In the roaring and the tossing of the sea, people will faint in terror. This is what's coming, okay? For the heavenly bodies will be shaken. When these things begin to take place, stand up and lift your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. Christ is not coming back on this, people. It's just your redemption, when Christ comes back, is drawing near. It's coming close. When you see these things happen, you'll know that the kingdom of God is near. It's close. It's coming. Truly, I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass until all these things have happened. Pray that you may be able to escape all that is about to happen. Okay, so why is he saying that? Because stay put. When this thing goes down, don't fear. Just stay put, because this is going to be the greatest shaking in human history. And then after that, we could see a massive financial plunge, either the same day, Friday, or Monday, and then straight up like a rocket. Straight up like a rocket. Joy. That's what's about to happen. And the great and terrible day scripturally is the great and the terrible day of the Lord. That's what's coming. The great and the terrible day of the Lord. When it starts, man, silver, XRP, crypto, Bitcoin, they're going to start to rock and roll like you can't even imagine. The charts I'm looking at, we're here. Okay, month ends, awesome for silver and crypto. Okay, May is going to be very interesting. It's going to there's going to be one massive, I believe, a big drop coming in May. So again, we've got the in terms of the cycle movement is going to be very volatile. I want to focus on crypto. Silver, gold, once it gets going, they're going to have a hard time trying to control it, but they're going to try to do everything they can with cryptocurrencies, particularly XRP, to try to take it back down again. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. But boy, talk about a world stage being set right now with Trump's tweet that he just put out, dropping the F-bomb on Iran and literally giving him a deadline of like tonight at like 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And wow, these next few days, again, because we have to tie this into directly what happened with Jesus entering the temple, by Friday, it looked like they won. It looked like they won. And remember, whatever happens this week, please, everybody, Jesus Christ, God the Father, the Holy Spirit, the Trinity, God is in absolute, undeniable control. No matter what happens this month of April, particularly possibly even this Friday, whatever happens, very shortly, likely 3 days later, so that will be this Sunday, we would step into the greatest victory in human history. So whether it's this weekend or next, but this weekend is pointing to be extremely important. But no matter how it looks, never be deceived by how it looks. Know your scriptures. 3 days later, he rose from the dead in the greatest victory in human history. And Babylon falling is going to be tied in exactly, type and shadow, to the angel of death and Jesus's crucifixion on the cross. And then a sudden victory 3 days on the third day. And that happened on Resurrection Sunday. And on the Julian calendar that was used when Christ walked on the earth, Resurrection Sunday is this Sunday, the 12th. 1, 2, 4.
Yeah, there you go. Well, for everybody that would like more information, boy, you've had just a ton of it here for free, Bo. Thank you for that. Beautiful slides, as always, chock full of all sorts of information, charts, beautiful images. But if you want those specific day-by-day turns that Bo sees in the time cycles for the crypto charts, it's on the screen right now. You can go to gold2020forecast.com. When you go there, I can get you 50% off. When you're signing up for that, there's a promo code box. You type in WLT49. It's going to give you a 50% discount. And then you immediately get access to all the new reports and the full archive of the past ones. So you can go in and read some of the past stuff and compare it to see how it turned out and all that stuff. So that's all in there. And then, Bo, the other thing that people really enjoy from you is your Easy Crypto School. I don't know if you have a slide for that, but for anybody who I know tons of you, hundreds of you over the years have taken this school. But if you haven't done it yet and you're listening to this and you're on board with crypto, but you don't really know how to be on board, you haven't done it yet, it's scary and intimidating. Maybe you're not great with technology. This is for you. This will take you from knowing absolutely nothing about crypto, and it'll tell you how to do it safely, what websites to trust, how to set up a wallet, what is a wallet, where do you store your crypto, how do you make sure you avoid scams and frauds and all that stuff. So that's in there. That's easycryptoschool.com. I know so many of you have really benefited from that over the years. And same thing, if you want to sign up for that, if you're listening to this show today, special offer for anybody listening to this show. Again, when you sign up for the school, there's a promo code box. You type in WLT49. That's also going to cut it in 50% for you, cut it in half. And you can get in there and you can go at your own pace. If you want to go really fast, you can get through it really fast. If you want to just go slow, you can do that too. It's totally self-directed. Yeah, go ahead, Bo.
Oh, no, perfect. Yeah. So everything that Noah said, again, with what's coming in cryptocurrencies, you need to know how to transact in cryptocurrencies. You just need to. Why? Because the blockchain will be the new way people transact, because the Fed wire system is going to go down and people will no longer trust it, and no one in the world is going to want to use it anymore. Okay. So this will be the new transactional system, the blockchain. Okay. And I believe XRP is going to be one of the key instruments that people will be using because it's super fast, easy to use. But again, you need to know how to use your phone, how to acquire it, how to safely store it. That's critical. Okay. Because there are no banks. Once you get XRP or Bitcoin or any coins, you become the bank. So you need to be 100% responsible on how to manage it. Okay. There's no one you can make a phone call to and call. Really important. You need to know how to use it accurately. And then again, with regard to cycles and patterns, I do expect, and the cycles are indicating 3 vertical moves coming here, 4 silver, 4 gold. We're going to have 3 ups, 3 downs coming in the next few months. And these are very important cycle moves. And all of them are going to be directly related to, big events happening at each cycle turn. So much is happening. But all of the moves we are waiting for, literally, this is crazy, but it's true. Everything we've been waiting for, and I don't want to use the word crazy. Actually, the best word is this is biblical. It's impossible, but that's what Bob, biblical is impossible. But what we're waiting for is a biblical move. Let that sink in, to trigger the start of the greatest financial event in human history. And that is specifically the fall of the Babylonian control system, the Federal Reserve System. And as the world is going to shift into Haggai 2:8, the silver, the gold, and then ultimately blockchain will be the new money system. Let that sink in. It'll be the new money system in the golden age. This golden age has nothing, zero, zilch, nada, nothing to do with the Fed, the Federal Reserve System, the bankers out of London, has nothing to do with it. The new financial system will be blockchain based, backed by gold and silver, and a new money out of the treasury system. And the money that we'll be using in this system will still be the United States currency, but it will be the treasury money backed by the United States Treasury, with Trump as president under God, Jesus Christ. So everything's about to move. God, act of God's about to happen. God intervenes. Trump is in office to then what? Rebuild America. We step into the 4th of July, the greatest celebration in human history, because what? God intervened. Evil has been removed off the face of the earth. The evil that resides and remains goes underground into hiding. And we are stepping into, this is the coolest part, 7 years of the greatest time in human history. Wealth, health, incredible prosperity, incredible health, technology that is just earth-shaking. So much is going to be exposed that we can't even comprehend. And when I use the word exposed, why? Because exposed leads into what? The Great Awakening.
Yeah, that's great. And as we wrap up here, Bo, I just wanted to tell everybody a little surprise here at the end. Last time you were on, we did a free raffle on my website. You totally free to enter. 4 different ways you can enter, and we did a free raffle for a signed copy of your new book. And the book is just absolutely gorgeous. And we had so much fun with that. A ton of you entered that thing, probably more than we've done for any other raffle. And so we drew that winner. The book's already been mailed out. I published the winner on our website. Of course, kept the private information confidential, but published the winner. They love the book. They already thanked me for it. But we're gonna do a second one. Bo has already sent me the book. I have it. It's right here next to me. It's signed. It's beautiful, and we're gonna do another raffle. So wherever you're watching this, down below, I'll put the link to enter that, or go on our website and go to the giveaways tab at the very top of the homepage. It's WLTreport.com. Go to giveaways. It'll be in there. And you might be the winner of this beautiful book. You can put it on your coffee table. It's everything that Bo talks about here. Just kind of consider that on steroids in the book, and you can all the images and the charts and the all the beautiful stuff that he puts out here. It's in great detail, and a lot that in the book that we just don't have time to get to here on the show. So, Bo, thanks for doing that. Thanks for sending me that book. I'll get it out to the winner, and that's about $150 value right there if you were to buy one on the website. So thanks for doing that, Bo.
Absolutely. No, God bless everybody. Thank you, Noah, for what you do, and appreciate you being my friend. And it's such a pleasure to speak with you and allowed me the time to kind of cover all the details without any massive interruptions. And so it was so important to kind of have the viewers understand that everything is on schedule. Okay. Just because nothing happened on March 19th doesn't change the fact it was still New Year's Day. It was. Okay. And doesn't change the fact that from the Great North American Eclipse, 777 days is still May 24th, the end date. Okay. So from the start date, New Year's Day, start date, March 19th, we count forwards to the end point here of Pentecost, where the glory falls upon the earth, would be May 24th. And somewhere in that window, and I believe, and I'm telling you, it's in the month of April, somewhere in that month of April, which most likely could be this Friday into resurrection this Saturday, we're going to see what's written in Isaiah 61. What is it? It's the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God. And incredibly, from when we overturned Roe v. Wade, like what? From when we overturned Roe v. Wade, 44 months and 44 days is this Friday, in Friday sunset into is this Friday, the 10th of April. Incredibly, which lines up with exactly Jesus's ministry. So I don't know what to tell you, except this is beyond possible. And yet we're just waiting for that move where God takes down Babylon and we step into the greatest time in history. So rejoice, everybody, but understand on that day, the world will be shaken. It's the 4 M's that we covered. Whether it's this Friday or not, it's going to go down this April. And I do believe it's going to be this Friday. So thank you, Noah, for having me. And God bless everybody. Fear not, God's got this. And know that no matter how it looks, joy in the morning. On the third day, he rose. Greatest celebration in human history.
There we go. Thanks, Bo, for coming back on. It's always a pleasure. And thanks everybody for joining us. This was great. I love putting all your comments up on the screen. Thanks for being here, and we will see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.